Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Happy holidays. Hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. This is Bring It in the House podcast show where we spotlight musicians, entertainers, artists, and leaders. I'm your host, Millie Mills. Get your meal. We got a fantastic meal tonight. Of course, in the house, we have health and human potential specialist, author, speaker, educator, and a third generation of chiropractors. We have Dr. Kyle Husselbus. Did it! I got it! Yay! That's the fun about this show. We try to have fun, as well as spotlight wonderful guests like yourself. Thank you again for joining us. We're in the middle of the holiday season, and you could be doing anything else, but you decided to stop and share this time with us. So,
I'm enthused, Millie, to kind of end the year here to be able to bring people some of these ideas about health and how to improve their potential. And if you go to my 40over40.com, it's about health and longevity in all aspects of your life. So I think it's just a lovely way to end the year, and what a great show to be on for it. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on all your success. A third generation chiropractor. How amazing is that? Now, I was reading that, it all started for you guys. It opened up in Rockford, Illinois back in 1949. Kind of tell us a little bit how you personally got over into that lane. How did you transfer into it?
Well, I took the long way. I took the scenic route. My grandfather got into it because he wasn't sure what to do with his life after World War II. He actually ended up using the GI Bill to attend Palmer Chiropractic, and it was Rockford, we're a little town outside Rockford, where the power plant is today, is Byron, Illinois, and that's where he ran out of gas money, so that's where they parked and opened up shop. And like my dad and my uncles, they more or less just like jumped right into chiropractic. And then myself, I knew as a teenager that I was not going to follow in my father's footsteps. So I didn't. I went into the theater, and I was very much a writer. I still write fiction, and I haven't published anything in years, but still working on it, bringing it all back out. Did a lot of travel writing, did some article writing, copywriting. Got a degree from the University of Iowa in English literature and theater, and kind of left the theater shortly after that, after being on stage, backstage. And then I did various things, as what a lot of people did. I bartended for years. I ran a shoe company. I worked at restaurants. I did freelance writing. I traveled around Europe doing some travel writing. Ended up in Chicago, where I was, doing what a lot of other people do, is sort of trying to make it, not quite sure where I was going with it. And I ended up spending a lot of time explaining to people about they tell me about their health, and I go, wow, my dad would tell you to just do this. And I was raised, my dad's a philosopher as well as a chiropractor. So I was kind of raised with this knowledge of it was always such an absurd way to look at health from the way people were looking at it, because I was taught to look at it from an internal thing. And I distinctly remember my friend Chris, where he was like, I really need help, and I'm having all these problems. Can your dad help me? I go, yeah. I said, I'm sure he can find somebody here. He goes, no. I know you. I'm going to go see your dad. And I go, well, that's 2 hours away. He goes, that's fine. And so he went and saw my dad. He did everything my dad told him. He told his boss, I'm going to be late, and I've got to get this done. It's for my health. It's for my well-being. It's for my longevity. And he did it. And I was trying to write copy for some health thing, and we're looking at superfoods and garlic. And I called my dad and I go, this doesn't make sense, but I got to write it. He goes, it doesn't make sense because you understand healthcare from a way different perspective, and it's hurting your sort of, your paradigm of health. So you understand you're spending 90% of your time trying to teach people about chiropractic and having them drive to me. He goes, will you just go get the degree so you stop having to refer to me and you can just do it yourself? And I said, okay. And I went out to chiropractic college when I was 27. and went through that in California. That's where I met my wife, who's also a chiropractor, and is where my brother went. And different school than the rest of the family went to, but at the time that was where we were going to get one of the highest quality educations. So that's what we did.
That is amazing. I love that. And would you say that all you're building, you all are building a business with both legacy and flexibility? Would you say that? And if so, if you agree, is that, I'm sure it's kind of difficult to manage at times?
Well, there's a lovely thing. It's funny when you tell people, they go, hold on, you work with your wife and your brother and your father? And I go, yes. I go, fortunately, my cousin's across town. He's on his own. And my other cousin's in a different town, and she and her husband figured that out. And then we sort of interplay with the second generation. But there are a lot of challenges. My brother and I, we kind of run the whole thing where we have our dad more or less as an advisor. And we're sitting here going, here's the legacy reputation. We get to stand on those shoulders and we get to help grow it. But one of the big challenges there then is, okay, well, we always retreat back into chiropractic principles and sort of these principles of health and go, okay, hold on, we're making it complex. Let's go back to simple solutions here when we start to get away. So we have fortunate where we're both on the same plane there, and then we both sort of had different visions. So when we clash pretty hard, and I go, I'm glad I'm not going to see you for 2 days. and then we, then you get that 2 days where you come back and go, okay, we can communicate again. Let's go figure out how to solve this problem. So the challenges are, the same challenges you're going to have anywhere. The beauty of it, of having a legacy to work off of, is I have a legacy to work off of. I didn't have to build from scratch and work illegally for 13 years like Grandpa did. They didn't have to work through a medical boycott for 12 years like my father did, and have them fight that and fight, insurance companies and getting stuff legitimate. But now we're in a different, a whole different generation, a whole different, set of challenges for the profession and for everything. And, like every other profession, you continue to grow, you continue to adapt. That's the way that health works. It works in all various aspects. So that's kind of a good example, instead of physical health, of having professional health, I would say.
Yes. I was reading too. This is something that kind of got my attention. I read that chiropractors, a lot of times you guys spend more time in school than a medical doctor. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the exact stats. They're certainly out there. But from an hours basis, and there's certainly some that we're a lot more, they're a lot more. There's a certain amount of equality that's in there until you kind of go into specializations, of course. But as far as the standard medical degree and the standard chiropractic degree, yeah, we probably do more solid hours. Where we excel is anatomy, normal physiology, how it works, how it's put together. Obviously, spinal biomechanics is a very big thing. The thing most people don't know about chiropractors that medical doctors don't do is we do 2 years of radiology, skeletal radiology, where we look at all aspects. We take some mild stuff in CT and MRI, but that's more getting into specialist stuff. But we're all trained and we're board certified with multiple board exams on reading x-rays. So this is why most chiropractors will take x-rays, because we're trained to look for problems that may need referrals to medical specialists. But at the same time, we're also dealing with the underlying structure. So we have to be quite highly skilled at looking at what we're about to adjust with our hands, which adds a certain amount of safety and everything else to what we do, which is beautiful. The other thing in that is and then of course we have 0 hours in pharmacology. We do no medications or pharmacies training at all. So people come in and ask if I can prescribe. I go, no. I go, that's medical specialists for that. They're highly trained at it, and let me help you get over there. Because the other thing people ask is, they go, the reason we're doctors, one reason we're doctors is we're highly skilled enough to be able to assess you and evaluate you, and also to see when you need to get to a different professional other than us. We work with all medical doctors, most of the surgeons in town, and we're members at all the hospitals.
Okay, so would you say, doctor, that the nervous system is really the core to, how well the entire body functions, I guess, and you guys are the ones who kind of like help adjust and put our nervous system kind of back on track? Is that how it works?
Well, effectively, we're doctors of the nervous system,
Okay. Yeah.
different than neurologists or neurosurgeons. But what we're working by adjusting the spine is we're not too worried about your back, even though that's where we effectively are working on, simply because those are the bones that we're going to put into greater motion so that the spinal cord and the nerves underneath it are working at 100% efficient communication, because
Mhm.
your brain's main purpose is to communicate to all these different areas of the body and take in information and give out instructions everywhere. And it's got its automatic processes in there set, but it needs to be able to modify them as it goes.
Mhm.
And so we need that working at 100%. What we found in chiropractic is if we can keep great motion in the spinal column, it's going to allow that to work at maximum efficiency over the course of time. The additional piece in our office, we're also members with chiropractic biophysics. It's a slight specialty within the profession where we work on the underlying chronic curvature and postural changes that affect the spine, and we help people strengthen that in addition to traditional chiropractic to give them the greatest long-term stability we can. And then we teach them how to take care of themselves on their own. Our underlying goal is to really empower you to take care of your health, and we just give you some assistance.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I got to get you there first.
Would you say rest, just getting proper rest, does that play? I'm sure it does, as far as the nervous system and helping you get back healthy, all of
It
it.
they're certainly there. I mean, I talk to a lot of people because they go, I get plenty of sleep. I go, yeah, but do you get plenty of rest? Because I've known people that can sleep for 8 hours and feel like they rested for 10 minutes. And I know people that sleep for 4 hours and they feel like they rested for a day.
Yeah.
And so it's not, I wouldn't even talk about it rest. If we're going to use that word,
Mhm.
let's say it is more, we're getting real quality recovery when we sleep, when we rest. So I know other people that, yeah, I mean, again, now that people have those Aura rings and different things they wear, they found out, they go, oh boy, I slept for 8 hours, but man, I was moving and my heart was up and down, and they find out they're not really resting.
Mm.
So we adjust that. And also, one of the first things I see with people is like, I want you to be able to rest. In order to get to a state and a condition of whole being where you're working through these cycles of ease and disease real healthy, is to get you to that section where you can rest. Because I know people that sleep only 4 hours a night. A lot of big business and thought leaders in the world today, they talk about how they only sleep 4 or 5 hours, but they rest 100% of that time.
Mhm. How can, maybe I'm getting a little far off here, off subject, but I'm just curious to know, how can we assure that we're going to get rest versus sleep? How can we?
Well, there's a number of different ways. I mean, it's a huge topic. We're probably not going to cover it all in 30 minutes. So one of the things that I actually endeavored to do when I created that 40 over 40 health series is pieces in there but when we talk about health and longevity, yeah, you want to have quality downtime. But one of the things in there is make sure you're away from a screen for a time. If you're going to read, I say in one of those health tips is read something printed every day that's not
Mhm.
on a screen,
Mhm.
and to adjust your eyes to something that's not digital. There's a certain amount of input that your brain works on there's it's not one of my tips on there, but it's certainly getting away from this. There's so many people nowadays that either on a phone or they're on a computer, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to go to bed now, and you've kind of jazzed up your brain to go, well, wait a second, what, and so you're going to be able to force yourself to sleep, but at the same time you've got your neurology kind of going, wait, what's going on? Like I just sit and I'll read a book that's sitting on my bedside table, that's a physical book, because I'm
Mhm.
weird, I still have those.
Mhm.
And and I do that before I go to bed, or sometimes it's, I'm finally tired, but I try not to be here and then go right to sleep. I try to do something to reduce that a little bit. So those are just very simple things. The other big thing that I have on there is having an understanding of purpose, vision, and mission. And you will certainly, if that's something you're focused on, regardless, you will get greater rest. It's usually in those times where we don't have clarity in life and we're trying to figure it out and we feel lost and confused, that we tend to sleep, and then we tend to not have rest. And if that adds up, you end up getting colds, you end up getting just run down. And a lot more times it's when we're run down that we get sick. It's not that we've been around stuff.
Gotcha. That's so good. I love that. I really love that. Now, would you agree, like sometimes people who have been on the computer for hours, when they get up, they crack their own neck or whatever and try to do those things. Do you think that's healthy when you do that for your nervous system?
It's not dangerous at all. You wouldn't be able to do it if it was.
Okay.
And I see the people that do this and they do this, usually they're kids. And they come in, they go, is that dangerous? I go, no, because you got to understand your body always works in a state of balance. There's no time that your body is not in balance. It's just what is sort of the efficiency of that balance. So if I lock two bones in my spine together and they don't move properly, two more around it are going to become, so those are hypomobile. They don't move as well. And then you'll have ones around it that are hypermobile. So they're going to move a lot easier. So when I do this, or I do this, or I'm doing that, it's the ones that are easy to move that you're moving. Because if it was that easy to move the ones that I move, you wouldn't need me.
Yeah.
All a chiropractor is really doing is we're looking for, we use our x-rays to pinpoint exactly the places, and then our palpation skills that we spend 3 years on in order to figure out exactly where we need to adjust and what way and what method in order to give more motion to it. This complaint I get from teenagers usually is they go, I can't crack my neck anymore since you've been adjusting me. I go, right, because now they all move properly.
Yeah.
And so you're moving stuff, but it's the same as if you crack your knuckles. I mean, we've known for decades that does not cause arthritis. All you're doing is moving stuff.
Yeah, and I have heard that. Yeah, you don't want to crack your knuckles too much. It causes arthritis.
So no, but it can become a little addictive.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. I don't crack mine as much as I used to, but it's good to know. Yeah. So sometimes as we grow older, I notice too, we stiffen up as we get up from our seats or get out of bed. We get a little stiff. Are you able to tell us what causes that? We're just not moving enough? We need to see more chiropractors?
So I'm going to elaborate on this. Let me back up then.
Okay.
Because when I go out and I lecture to people, I actually lecture more on words. So let me bring it back. Maybe we should have done it at the beginning, but let's talk about the actual definition of health. Okay. And there's a modern dictionary definition where it's a state of mental, emotional, spiritual, physical well-being, and it's a lovely definition. It covers a lot of things. The original definition, the old Merriam-Webster's, it's a state of wholeness in which all the organs of the body function together at 100% of the time. So in order to have health, you actually need 100% parts and 100% function. There's nothing about sickness or disease in that definition, is there? No, it's parts and function, meaning if you drink poison and you throw it up, you're functioning normal, you're healthy. That doesn't mean you got sick. It means you were normal. If I get a kid that, their digestive tract's not working and you keep trying to feed them, they're going to throw up because we can't back the system up. So there's something that's not functioning properly, which we can call dis-ease, because you're certainly not at ease when you have a digestive tract problem. And in other things that are functioning properly in order to try to keep you healthy while we deal with the problem. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's very simple as far as it goes. Now, the interesting thing, since I study Anglo-Saxon Old English, it goes way back over 1,000 years, that word health is an Old English word that is relatively unchanged for 1,000 years. And the word actually means state of wholeness or condition of wholeness or whole being. So they had the definition right all along. So when we age and we start to find that, well, this is creaking a little and that's creaking a little, and we think, well, it's age. It's always that funny story that they say, yeah, my knees are bad because I was running. And what we always found, there's a little bit of sarcasm in my office. If we always found is, it's interesting that it's your left knee that was worse than your right knee. And I noticed both knees went running. And I also noticed that those feet and those ankles and those hips were running too, but they seemed to be fine. Only the knees seem to get bad. And then you find out that it's like just the inside of the one knee, not the whole knee. And it's where you only running that way. And we can look in biomechanics and mechanics of the body and spine and everything, yes, are included in all that. But we find, why did that one area, what was off in that one area? And we can trace it back into the spine, and we go, okay, well, if the third lumbar nerve over here had interference and the brain could not communicate down to that knee, probably when you were running, it could not adapt to the pressure of the running over the course of time after many, many years and repetitions in that area, because the brain couldn't keep it as healthy and adaptive as possible. It eroded and it got bone spurs in order to try to stabilize it from eroding. And finally it got inflamed and was bad and you couldn't use it anymore. And unfortunately, because it's that one started to go bad and feedback, it started to make the other one bad. But your fourth and fifth lumbar were good, so your ankles and your feet didn't seem to get as bad. Maybe your first lumbar was good, so your hips didn't degenerate, or maybe they did, because it can kind of go through that. So when we talk about, well, as we get aged, we're going to do all this, I always ask, is it age or is it, well, your body's telling you that you are now at this point in life, you are required to take better care of yourself than when you were 20. So when people look at my x-rays, what medically they call arthritic degeneration, we just call degeneration due to nerve interference, or in chiropractic language, subluxation degeneration, which just refers to the bone locked in the spine and the nerve interference, is they go, well, what does that mean? I go, well, A, it means you've been around long enough to have that. And B, it means you need to work a lot harder than this person to keep it healthy. Kind of like Jack LaLanne said, he goes, you're not going to be able to go through life without exercising every day if you want to keep healthy.
Yeah.
This is just the way it is. And as you get older, you got to do more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So is it a lack of motion? In some cases, I mean, we can look at a lot of different factors in every individual. But when I see people going, boy, I'm just stiff, it's like, okay, well, you got two options. A, you can find something to take so you don't have the stiffness. B, you can get up and take a hot shower every morning to get some blood flow, which is probably one of the biggest things. C is for chiropractor, so we can certainly help. But you know what I'm going to tell you after I adjust you? Now you got to get out there and work. So we certainly look at the nerve interference in that, but we even work with personal trainers. I've had people in their 70s and 80s, and I go down and talk to this trainer and say, these are the major areas that I'm having problems, and have him come up with an exercise routine for you. The healthiest people is the age that I see, they go to the Y every single day. And the worst day of their life is when they come in with an injury and I say, you can't go for a week, because you got to rest and let the inflammation come down so you can work out more. They go, I can't take a day off. I go, well, you can this week. And I just had a lovely lady. She was in her late 80s, and she just spent a 10-day trip to Kenya on safari by herself. She went with a group, but nobody she was related to. She flew by herself. She went over there. She had a great time. I said, do you have any problems? She goes, yeah, I got real stiff on the plane. That was it. She works out every day. She's got a vision for what she wants to do with life, and she gets a lot of rest, and she works on it in all aspects.
That's great.
So, and then I take that definition of health. The other thing I look at when people get up there is, one of the greatest killers of man is retirement. Because suddenly we don't feel like we have purpose every day, and our body starts to stiffen up and break down, because why should we stay healthy? Yeah. Why should we keep moving? And you got to apply health to your professional life. I had a great mentor, and he had this great line that's always stuck with me ever since he told it to me like 12 or 13 years ago. He said, retirement's all well and good as long as it doesn't get in the way of your work. I stole that, and I give that to people all the time, but I always pass it off as his. And so you want to apply health into your longevity. You want to, not just your physical body, but what are you doing to keep your mind sharp and have your mental acuity going? And what are you doing financially? What are you doing vocationally? What do you do that instead of having a job, a 9-to-5 you go to, kind of like you and I were talking about, here you are doing a podcast, and you were trying to tell me about your age, and I said that's a lie. So all the time. And then you can have health in your family and your relationships with people, whether it's your siblings, your children, your friends. health socially and the leadership. You're on here talking about leaders and artists and getting your meal for the day. This is all ages. I created 40 over 40 to be people 40 tips after they're 40, but I go 40 is just kind of an option. It was sort of a it just rang really well. But we try to take that idea of health as a state of whole being and well-being and wholeness. Actually, wealth is well-being. And apply that through the entire life. So if you really are concerned about you're getting up in age and you're starting to get stiff in that in the morning, there's a chiropractic issue in there, but it's actually the philosophy and the principles of chiropractic you want to apply. And you don't just want to look at, boy, do I need to do more push-ups? And yes, if you're going to work out, you need to sweat a little bit, make your heart work. Your heart's one of your muscles. It's important, especially as you get up there in years. But don't just look at that. Stretch your brain a little bit. And then not just doing crosswords and word searches, like stretch your brain. Go find something that inspires you. That's one of my health tips. Turn off your TV and your internet and your news. That'll give you longevity. It's not good for you and me right now. Nobody would watch us, but just get through all these different aspects and really look at where, because we talk about in a company having a healthy bottom line or having a healthy relationship or having a healthy relationship with God or having healthy learning habits, and we think of that, and then when I talk about health, they go my body, and I go no. We're holistic doctors in chiropractic, meaning I can't just look at your physical being. I have to look at its connection with everything in your life.
Would you say?
That's
go ahead. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, would you say that there is a connection with regular checkups? Is that a wellness advantage of having regular checkups with your chiropractor?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason I say that is not just because I'm a chiropractor. It's the reason people come in regularly is not even really to prevent problems. It's you're trying to keep everything functioning at the highest level of health you can with all the other stuff you're doing in your life, with your mental acuity again, and your life and your exercise and your nutrition. And we're providing stuff for your nervous system and for your physical body in tandem with anybody else you decide to see, in order to keep you so healthy that when the health challenge arises, whether it's say a death in the family, or whether it's a career change, or whether it's a market crash in the financial district, or whether you just get colds and flu season coming around, you have the tools to adapt and deal with it in all aspects. And yeah, you may get a little run down and you're going to get sick for a couple of days, but instead of you being down for 10 days, you're down for a day.
That's good.
That's what wellness checks are for. It's not so you never have a symptom in your life. It's so that when the symptoms come, you know what to do. You're empowered and you're healthy enough to be able to adapt and go through it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Holsebus. Did I get it right that time?
Holsebus.
Dr. Holsebus, thank you so much for spending time with us. Is there anyone you'd like to recognize? They can call it shout outs to any your loved ones or followers?
I can send out anybody that was listening tonight, any of my good friends, Leda, Danny, my wife, Shanti's probably in the other room, I hope, listening to me, or she's ignoring me, who knows. My friend Ike told me he was going to be on here listening to me. So if you're ever on the West Coast, get Ike sandwiches. They're great. But, but just overall, any of my patients or anybody that's listening, I hope I've enlightened you, and any of the other listeners, and certainly at mpholsebus.com is a website for my clinic. You can, if you have chiropractic questions or anything, just in general on that, it's a great way to be able to reach out to me. I have people that fly in from all over the country. I've had people come from multiple countries to see us, to get our opinion, and then we help them find local people to help them with a lot of their issues. And, as I think I was saying to you off air, that, one of our biggest practices is asthma, allergies, and hay fever, and children with all sorts of conditions, just for wellness. And we work with a lot of different issues with women as well. So way beyond back pain.
Yes. Yes.
40over40.com. I invite anybody who wants to get on. You can sign up there, and we will send you tips every day for 40 days. You will get a tip, a 5-minute video, in order to help you enhance your health and longevity throughout your life.
That's amazing. I'm signing up. Well, thank you so much again for stopping by. Happy holidays and have a blessed new year. Thank you so much. And thanks for those who tune in tonight to Bring It in the House. We'll see you next time.